Hey guys, it's me, it's Queen Arts at her room, and today I'm coming to you with another exciting edition of Ask An Aquarius. So, this person, one of my subscribers, we were talking under one of the videos in the comments, and she asked me two questions. The first question was, are there books by Van Zant? I always say her name wrong. Iyanla Van Zant is her name. And I've been reading her since I was in my 20s, and I always still say her name wrong. So I'm trying to pronounce it perfectly now. She asked me about her books. Iyanla Van Zant has a lot of books, and I've read probably most of them, and I got something out of every last one. I would recommend any of them. Go to Amazon, type in her name, and just go down the list because they have different topics. Now, the ones that I got the most out of and I recommend the most are The Value in the Valley. The Value in the Valley is the first one I read, and it changed my whole life. It just cracked me right open. And the other one I would say is Forgiveness. She has a book called Forgiveness. And I would think those two are the ones that will be the most beneficial for most people. But she also has one on trust, which a lot of people have used. So there are a lot of them. I think she might have I've seen at least 7. There was one called Spirit of a Man, which was good for women and men, especially men, but both. That one was really good. That one was the one that taught you about how to create your own spiritual practice. Excellent book. So it really just depends on, with her, what you're trying to accomplish. What are you working on? What are the principles you're working on? I would say start with Value in the Valley because it's one of the first ones, and it goes over a lot of things you may be struggling with right now. And the second part of the young lady's question was, how do you declutter your mind? Which also goes along with the concept of reading from this particular author and other ones. Now, decluttering the mind. Let me explain this topic to you a little bit more. The average person's mind is cluttered. It's cluttered with self-sabotage, negative thoughts, guilt, anger from the past, unforgiveness, negative thinking, what they don't want, what has happened to them, what people have told them. Most people's minds are cluttered with negative thoughts. Let's just wrap them into a ball. And you know this to be true because, when I first started doing this kind of work, I really wanted to see, test some of these theories out. So one of the things I did was, all day long one day, I wrote down every person, their initials that I came across. And if they were talking, if their conversation was about something negative, I crossed them off. By the time I got from my car, because at this time I was a teacher at a high school. By the time I got from my car to the 3rd floor to my classroom, I had encountered 15 people. Out of those 15 people, only one of them had something positive to say. And that was just the beginning of the day. As I continued to count throughout the rest of the day, I don't remember what my final count was. I think it was something like 211. And I might have had like 5 or 6 people who actually had a positive thing to say. Now, I came across a lot of people back then because obviously I had a bunch of students and this building was full of people. So I came across a lot of people that day. But I only counted the ones I actually engaged with. And out of all the ones I engaged with, it was about 211. 5 had something positive to talk about. I heard about people's divorces and how they felt about their ex-husband. I heard about somebody whose son was on drugs. But all of the conversations were negative. It was very infrequent that somebody would say something good, like, my nephew's graduating or something like that. Or, my niece just got married and had a baby, and they're moving to Jamaica. It's very infrequently that I heard something good. It was always a complaint. Oh, it's hot today. My classroom's, air conditioning isn't working. Or it was always a complaint. It was very infrequently that somebody, like I said, out of 211 people, it was always a complaint. It was always something negative. And I realized that it was right. Most people do have a mind full of negative thoughts. full of negative thoughts, full of things that they don't want, full of things that are not going to get them anywhere, full of self-doubt. A lot of people say very ugly things to themselves in their minds. And as I did this experiment and then thought about it and journaled about it later, I realized that most of us, our minds were cluttered. And I figured out from reading all those books that I was reading that the one way to take control of your life is to take control of your thoughts, because your thoughts lead to your actions and your behavior, and your actions and your behavior lead to your character. And this is all what builds up your life. So if you're going through life thinking about negativity, if you're going through life thinking about what this one did to me in the past, if you're going through life thinking about what you can't do, what you won't do, who you aren't, you're not good enough, not tall enough, not thin enough, not pretty enough, teeth not perfect enough, whatever you're sitting there telling yourself and thinking about, you're not doing anything to better any of these situations. So our minds are cluttered with things that are not going to help us. So what happens? The clutter just keeps on building up, basically, because things keep happening. Negative things keep happening, and we keep focusing on them, and they continue to accumulate. So what I've come to find from, like I said, reading these books, is that you have to take control of your thoughts. So the young lady said, how do you declutter your mind? Very good question. And not an easy answer, but a very beneficial one. What you have to do is number one, you have to work on what is going on in your emotional state. Your emotional state is the reason why you're having these thoughts. If you're feeling fat, or you're feeling unattractive, or you're feeling like a failure, or you're feeling like you're not living up to your potential, those feelings are going to translate into what you're thinking, and then it's going to translate into your character, and so forth and so on. So you have to deal with that first. That's why in a lot of videos you notice that I tell people to deal with their mental health first, because that is what holds most people back. Almost everybody that I know that hasn't reached their potential, I'm thinking now, everybody I know who hasn't reached their potential is because there's some type of mental health issue that is not being addressed. And it doesn't have to be a big issue. It can just be the fact that they haven't let go of hurt that's on their heart, or they haven't let go of something that happens, or they're still working through something. So those feelings are what cause you to have those thoughts. Okay, your mom or your dad abandoned you or didn't take care of you as a child. Now you're in your 30s and you're still having issues because you haven't been able to heal that, so you can't have a good relationship. Every time you do have a good relationship, or you try to have a good relationship, it goes to crap because you're still dealing with those issues, and it keeps you from being able to trust your partner. You hide things from them, they get upset, they leave. You see, these things build upon each other. So you have to start from the root. And the root is your mental health state. So that's the first thing, is deal with your mental health state. Then, as you're dealing with your mental health state, I say go to therapy, get self-help books, whatever the case is. Some people say that I heard a woman say once, she said black people shouldn't go to therapy. That's a lie. That's a lie. Anybody of any ethnicity, gender, orientation can benefit from therapy. The problem is finding a good therapist. That's your only task, and that is your task. So you need to research, you need to Google, you need to ask people, you need to find somebody who's good. Preferably somebody like somebody who has a good track record, somebody who's highly recommended, and if you can't find anybody, that's when you need to take it into your own hands and get the self-help books, do the workbooks. I mentioned Ilanya Van Zandt, but also Louise Hay. Louise L. Hay has a number of books that are really good, and one of them is called the Love Yourself Workbook. And in this workbook, you begin to deconstruct your thoughts about yourself and others. She also has a book called You Can Heal Your Life. Again, it's all about deconstructing your thoughts. Then there's a book by somebody named Napoleon Hill. Again, dealing with your thoughts. You need to get this kind of literature and deal with your emotions and deal with your thoughts. And it does require work because none of these books, Van Zant, Hay, Napoleon Hill, none of these books are the kind of books you just read through and say, okay, I got the information to move on. You have to get the information and apply it. And that's where most people fall short. I've met people who've read all these books and still can't get it together because they're not applying what was told to them by the author. The author will say things, for example, like start to have more positive thinking. So one of the things I did in the very beginning was every time a negative thought came to my mind, I didn't dwell on the thought because that's one of the things that has a lot of mind clutter. You think a negative thought and then you go with it and it spirals. Yeah, they did this to me. Then they did that. And then in 74, they did that. And then my mom did that. And it spirals into this negative thought process. So as soon as I caught it, I stopped. And this is the part about decluttering your mind, taking control of your thoughts. You got to start controlling your own thoughts. And when you see them going someplace that they don't need to go, you need to be like, whoop, stop right there. And start to think about something more positive. Start to read a book. Start to listen to a YouTube video. Start to do something to deal with that mental process. After you've done this for enough time, your mind will get the point. She doesn't want to think about negative things. She doesn't want to dwell on negative things. And your mind will it will stop going there as often. The more that you do it, it'll stop going there. Now, this does not mean that negative things are not going to happen to you. This does not mean that negative things will not occur that you have to address. You will address them. You'll think about them, you'll deal with them, and you'll move on. Don't stay stuck in the situation. A lot of people do this. Somebody does something to you. Let's say your girlfriend steals your man. Okay, you call your best friend. Oh my God, I can't believe she's sleeping with him. Then you call your other friend, your mom, your auntie, your cousin. You done talked about this for days. Your mind has been cluttered with this crap for days, and you've been going on and on and on and on and on and on. Upset about it, don't know what to do. Talking to everybody. At the end of the day, whatever just happened. And you done spent 4 days talking about it. Now, I think that some of that is necessary because I think you need to get the energy up and out of you. I think that's important. I think venting of negative energy, negative emotions, negative thoughts is necessary. But don't dwell there. After you get it out, leave it alone. Move on. Okay, she slept with him. Okay, she's with him. Leave him with her. Block both of them and move on with your life. Don't sit there 3 months later. You're still sleeping with him. You're still mad at her. You're still trying to see if they're still seeing each other. Come on now. A lot of the stuff we do is just unproductive, and we need to just cut a lot of it. So the situation occurred. You vent it on out, decide what you're going to do about it, put your plan into action, and move on. And for a lot of us, the problem is that we need to let something go or someone go and move on. We hate to do that. We hang in there. We don't want to abandon them. We want to work things out, and some things are not to be worked out. If a man is disrespecting you and slept with your best friend, like in this scenario, those are two people that do not belong in your life. Period. So you dwelling on this 6 weeks later, still messing with him, still trying to find out what's going on, playing detective, looking through his phone. All that's doing is cluttering your mind with negativity and angst and confusion. You don't need any of that. So those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. We have to begin to take control of our mind. And the more that you do that, the more you become in control of it. So after a while, your mind just knows not to go there, not to dwell on the negative. Just deal with the negative and move on. Now, the other thing I'm going to tell you that helps with decluttering the mind is meditation. A lot of people come to me and they said they cannot meditate. They've tried, they had a hard time. Meditation is just like exercise. If you go into a gym and try to bench press 200 pounds, you're going to 9 times out of 10 kill yourself or break your arm or mess yourself up. Meditation is just like that. You have to start with the easy weights. You got to start with the 5-pound weights and work your way up. So if you're going to do meditation, know that, number one, if you're a beginner, try guided meditations. Try guided meditations, try CDs, try YouTube. YouTube has Reiki meditations. YouTube has, I use all the meditations on YouTube. I love them. They have angel meditations. Use those meditations if you're a beginner, because that's going to be very, very helpful. And use little meditations at first. Build yourself up. Do 3 to 5 minutes of meditation and work your way up. I can do 2 hours of meditation at this point in my life. As a priestess, we do a lot of meditation. We got to get our head right before we get into the game, you know? I can't cast somebody's spell or do somebody's reading and I'm all over the place. I got to get myself right. I got to open myself up. So I can do 2 hours if I need to replenish my chi. Meditation is the easiest way to replenish your chi, to replenish your life force, to replenish your Ra. Now, I couldn't do 2 hours in the beginning. It took me 8 years to be able to get to that space. But where I started off at was a couple of minutes. And that's good enough for a beginning. If you're just trying to get your head clear and work on yourself, you don't need 2 hours of meditation. You need 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and just keep gradually building it up. You know, and like I said, you can use the guided meditations. Those are usually like a half an hour. And it's easier for a beginner to use those because of the fact that it's guided and it's telling you what to do. But if you're just starting today, do a 3-minute meditation video, a 5-minute meditation video. That's your best bet. And then as time progresses, it'll be easier and easier for you to meditate. Meditation is one of the easiest ways to declutter your mind. It's also one because what it does is it teaches you how to control your mind, how to control your thoughts. Because while you're meditating, thoughts are going to arise. Your laundry list is going to come up. Did I call my boyfriend back? Those things are going to come up in your mind. And what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to, as the thoughts come in, you're going to be able to just gently move them back out. Thoughts come in, gently move it back out. After a while, they won't even come in. But again, it's going to take time. You're going to have to build up that ability. Most people tell me, I tried to meditate and I couldn't. You tried one time. Come on now. It takes like 90 days to really get a habit down. Most behavior specialists say it takes 60 to 90 days to get any behavioral change down. And this has to do with anything. It has to do with, meditation, whatever you're trying to change in your life. Give yourself at least 90 days, solid 90 days to work on it before you say it doesn't work. Okay? So think about that. That's another thing about it as far as decluttering the mind is concerned. Another way to declutter your mind is to, this goes along with meditation. Meditation, you can use chanting. If you want to learn chants, if you want to do Buddhist chants, there are thousands of them online. I usually use Kuan Yin's, which is Mani, Padme, Hum. And you just say it over and over and over. And it really does help because your repetition on the vibration. I use my singing bowl. This is another way to declutter your mind. And all of these ways that I'm talking about, like I said, you have to build up. They're not going to be perfect at first. And after a while, it'll be great. At this point in my life, if I get focused on a negative thought or something along those lines, if something happens or something like that, I go into working it out, how to work this out, and then I let it go. So you use these methods and you'll be able to declutter your mind. You'll also have more control over your own thoughts, and then you can be able to use affirmations a lot more effectively. Affirmations go along with decluttering your mind, because once you've decluttered your mind of the negative stuff, now comes the fun part. Now you need to put in positive stuff. So you start to put in affirmations. Another book that would be really beneficial in this whole process is called The Secret. The Secret was written by Rhonda Byrd. The Secret is all about how to make your life better, how to manifest things into your life. I have not read the book. Well, there's a book and there's a video. I've watched this video so many times. I think I'm surprised that I probably know some of it by heart. And what happened at first was I knew it, but I wasn't really applying it. Then when I started to apply the things that they were saying, then the manifestation started to occur. So again, this is the next step in decluttering your mind, because now that you have control over it, you can now use it to get the things that you want to bring into your life. And then there's a step beyond that, which is a step I just learned recently, which is allowing. But I'll do another video about that later, because that's a whole different level. That's a third and fourth level. This video is about level 1 and 2. So stay right here. Work with learning to declutter your mind, and then learn to put positive things in your mind. This also, I'm going to say before I end this video, because it's a little bit long, is another part of this is staying away from people who are negative. Now, at the beginning of this video, I told you that 95% of the people you come across are more than likely going to be negative. However, you don't have to engage in negative conversations. You can keep it moving. You also can change the subject. If somebody comes to you like, yeah, it's hot in here, I'm sick of this job, da 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 da, and I'll be like, oh, how about those Mets? Did you see the game last night? And you can change the whole vibration of the conversation by just saying something that's more positive. If a person is always constantly coming to you with negative energy, limit the amount of time you're around that person. Eliminate them totally if you can. And if you can't, like if it's a family member, like I had some people I couldn't totally eliminate because of that reason. So I just limit the amount of time that I talk to them or spend with them, because that's just where they are. And I can't do anything about where they are, but I don't have to let it affect my life. So another part of decluttering your mind is watching what you allow to go in it. Watch the people, watch the conversations, watch the music. Watch the TV shows, the movies, the books. Look at what's going in your mind. Is nonsense going in your mind? Is negativity going in your mind? Are you watching ratchet TV, as my friends call it? Certain shows they have labeled as ratchet. Shows where people are fighting, arguing, being negative, cheating on each other. Are you watching that crap? Because if you are, you're cluttering your own mind. So look at what's going into it. Stop letting junk go into it. Put good stuff in it. Put good books in it. Put positive music in it. Put good videos. YouTube is full of positive videos. Put positive videos into it. Put meditations into it. Speeches, by Oprah or other people that you may like and find to be positive. Stop putting junk inside of you. And all those methods. I say this about music. People get mad at me when I say I don't listen to certain types of music. If it's negative and you calling me out my name and talking about how, I'm this and I'm that, and you going to shoot up my crib and kill my grandma, I'm not listening to that crap. I am not listening to that. Don't listen to that. Listen to stuff that's positive. Listen to stuff about love, about happiness, about having a good time, about dancing, Listen to good stuff. Chakra music, great to listen to. Reiki music, great to listen to. Listen to stuff that's positive and uplifting. Look at everything that you consume. And some would also say the foods that you consume too. Certain foods may not have the best energy for you. Now, food is something that you have to really think about for yourself, because I'm not going to advocate one diet or another. Some people say you have to be a vegetarian or a vegan to be spiritual. No, you don't. You don't. You just have to be thankful about the food that you get, and preferably get it from good sources. So, like I said before, that's going to be a very personal thing for everybody watching this video. But look at the stuff that you consume, and only consume stuff that you think is good, positive stuff. Okay? So that's how you declutter your mind. Those are some books that I've used and continue to use and continue to recommend. And that is today's edition of Ask an Aquarius. So your Aquarius will be back with some more questions. Deuces.